Imagine for a moment, you're staring down just this mountain of unstructured data, maybe, I don't know, 10,000 customer feedback responses, and they need to be understood, like yesterday. Or maybe you're grappling with these really profound ethical dilemmas. Think about AI systems that drive cars or make medical diagnoses. I mean, a single misstep could have devastating consequences.
Right.
The sheer scale of it all, the complexity, the weight of responsibility.
Yeah.
It can feel, well, truly overwhelming sometimes.
It's a scenario so many organizations, honestly, individuals too, are facing today. It really highlights just how deeply artificial intelligence is embedding itself into pretty much every facet of our modern lives.
Yeah.
It's really not just some futuristic concept anymore, from sci-fi films. AI is already working kind of tirelessly behind the scenes. It's analyzing vast amounts of data, powering countless apps we use every day. And it's also increasingly front and center in our public interactions. This isn't just a small change. It's genuinely redefining entire industries, healthcare, finance, even like creative fields like art and music.
And that pervasive impact, that's exactly why we're here today, to sort of unpack its complexities in this deep dive.
Yeah.
Our mission really is to pull back the curtain on this multifaceted world of AI. We want to move beyond the headlines, uncover some surprising facts and truly impactful insights.
Yeah, we've got quite a stack of sources to draw from today.
We really do. Everything from cutting-edge technical reports, detailed financial analyses, to, some quite profound philosophical discussions that actually challenge our very understanding of intelligence itself.
So our journey today will take us through, the intricate ways AI is evaluated for reliability, these groundbreaking moral codes being developed to guide its decisions, which are becoming more autonomous all the time. We'll also look at the rapidly emerging financial landscape it's creating, and even the unique investment opportunities it presents for anyone looking to participate in this really transformative era.
So if you're looking for a shortcut to being genuinely well-informed about AI, maybe without feeling totally overwhelmed by information overload, you've definitely landed in the right place. We're here to give you a clear structure, hopefully an engaging delivery that respects your time and balance those necessary summaries with memorable details and those crucial aha moments. Let's dive in.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's kick things off by plunging into the fascinating world of how advanced AI models are being evaluated and deployed, especially when it comes to this monumental challenge lots of organizations face, unstructured text analysis.
Right.
Think about it. Your company just got, say, 10,000 customer feedback responses, emails, surveys, maybe social media comments. What do you even do with all that? How do you start?
That's a very common and, frankly, pretty daunting problem. Traditionally, tackling such a huge volume of unstructured text data, it's been an incredibly arduous task.
I bet.
We're talking weeks, maybe even months, of manual analysis, which is not only super time-consuming, but also incredibly resource-intensive and often just impractical for large-scale operations.
Yeah.
I mean, for a concrete example, if you were to manually review just 2,000 customer comments, depending on their length, complexity, how deep you need to go, that could easily take over 80 hours.
80 hours for just 2,000 comments. Wow. I'm thinking about my own email inbox right now.
Yeah.
And the thought of manually reviewing even 20 emails. Well, it's enough to make me want to just shut down my computer.
Exactly.
80 hours for 2,000 comments. That's genuinely exhausting just to think about. And even if you tried, say, alternative NLP techniques, natural language processing, sure, they're faster, but they still demand a lot of data cleanup and, frankly, significant coding know-how just to get going.
That's right. It's still a considerable barrier for many organizations, especially those without dedicated data science teams. And this is precisely where large language models, or LLMs, truly shine. They're a game changer here.
Okay.
They offer a really promising and relatively low-code solution for scalable qualitative text annotation, summarization, and even this complex task of judging the outputs of other AI systems.
Interesting. Judging other AIs.
Yeah. Their ability to rapidly scale data analysis and significantly cut down that manual review time is incredibly appealing. We're talking about transforming weeks of work into maybe mere hours or even minutes in some cases.
Okay, so if LLMs are so powerful at processing information, this brings us to a really key question.
Yeah.
How do you make sure their outputs are reliable, accurate, that they actually align with what a human would expect?
That's the critical part.
Because a single LLM right? Despite its incredible capabilities, it can still suffer from what are called hallucinations.
Right, making stuff up, essentially.
Exactly. Producing inaccurate or totally fabricated information. Or even confirmation bias, where it might just favor outcomes it expects to see, rather than what the data truly indicates. That's a real concern when you're making critical business decisions based on this stuff, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And that's precisely why this concept of an LLM jury system is so crucial.
An LLM jury. Okay, tell me more.
So instead of relying on just one single model's potentially biased or flawed view, you bring in a panel of AI judges.
Okay.
Each one offers a distinct perspective to evaluate the content. Think of it like a diverse group of experts assessing something, but they're all AI models.
Right, like getting a second, third, fourth opinion, but from machines.
Exactly. This multi-model approach, and this is key, combined with vital human-in-the-loop oversight.
Still need the humans.
Absolutely. It significantly enhances reliability and addresses those concerns about unchecked errors. It's about building in redundancy and diverse viewpoints, even within the AI system itself, to kind of triangulate the truth.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so let's walk through maybe an illustrative example of how this LLM jury system works in practice. You mentioned drawing on an Amazon Bedrock workflow.
Yes, that's a good example. It starts naturally with the raw data, just like those customer feedback responses we talked about.
Okay.
So step one is thematic summarization. You take your raw text data, you preprocess it, clean it up, make sure it's in a good format, and then upload it to Amazon Bedrock. That's a fully managed service that offers a choice of different foundation models.
Got it.
Then a thematic generation prompt is carefully crafted. This is important, getting the prompt right. And you run it in Amazon SageMaker Studio, which is like a workbench for machine learning. You use a pre-trained LLM for this initial part, maybe something like Amazon Nova Pro. This model's main job is just to distill that huge amount of text into coherent, thematic summaries, identifying the key topics, the sentiments, that sort of thing.
Okay, so you have these initial summaries generated by the first LLM.
Yeah.
What's next?
Right, so the next step is summary preparation. These LLM-generated summaries are then converted into a standardized text file format and uploaded again. They're now ready for the really crucial evaluation phase.
And this is where the jury comes in.
Exactly. Step 3, LLM evaluation. Here, an LLM as a judge prompt is created and run. But critically, it uses different pre-trained LLMs from the one that generated the initial summaries.
Okay, different models.
Yes. For instance, you might use Amazon Nova Pro again, but this time maybe alongside Anthropic's Claude 3.5 Sonnet, or maybe others too. Each of these different models independently reviews the summaries that were produced back in step 1.
And what are they doing? Just saying good or bad?
They assign an alignment score. It could be on a simple scale, say 1 to 3, where 1 means poor alignment with the original data, 2 means partial alignment, and 3 means strong alignment. This gives you multiple AI perspectives on the quality and accuracy of those initial summaries.
Gotcha. Multiple scores from different AI judges. But how do we know if the AI judges are any good?
Excellent question. That brings us to step 4, human benchmarking. This is absolutely crucial. This is where, as you said, the rubber meets the road. You verify the AI's judgment against our own human judgment.
Okay.
So the LLM scores are statistically compared against scores given by human judges reviewing the same summaries. Because ultimately, the goal is for the AI to align with human understanding and judgment, right? Especially when it's summarizing human sentiment or complex information.
Right, that makes sense. You need that human baseline.
And to really understand that alignment, to quantify if our AI jury is truly agreeing and doing its job well, we rely on several key agreement metrics. These can sound a bit technical, but the concepts are pretty intuitive.
Okay, let's try them.
First off, there's percentage agreement. Super straightforward. It just tells us how often 2 raters could be human AI or AI give the exact same rating for the same piece of content.
Simple enough. What percentage of the time did they pick the same number?
Exactly. Expressed as a percentage of total agreements over total ratings. But it doesn't account for agreement happening just by chance.
Ah, right. Like if 2 people guess the same number of jelly beans in a jar just by luck.
Precisely. Which leads us to Cohen's kappa. You could think of this as a smarter version of percentage agreement because it specifically corrects for that chance agreement.
Okay.
using your analogy. Cohen's kappa considers how well two friends agree on the number of blue shirts beyond just the lucky guesses. Its coefficients range from medical 1 to +1. +1 is perfect agreement. 0 means agreement is purely by chance. And negative values actually suggest they disagree more than chance would predict.
So it's a much more robust measure of real agreement.
Much more robust. Then there's Spearman's Rho. I like to think of this one as sort of a friendship meter for numbers.
Okay.
It shows how well two sets of ranked numbers get along or move together. If one set of ranks tends to go up when the other set also generally goes up, they have a positive relationship, like friends lifting each other up. If one goes up while the other tends to go down, it's a negative relationship. Its coefficients also range from -1 to +1, with values closer to -1 indicating stronger correlations. It tells you about the trend, the direction of agreement in rankings.
Got it. So not just exact matches, but the overall pattern.
Exactly. And finally, probably the most comprehensive one, especially when you have more than two raters, is Krippendorff's alpha.
Okay, this sounds like the big one.
It kind of is. Imagine a panel of judges tasting different dishes at a cooking competition, right? And they're all rating them. Krippendorff's alpha gives you a single, robust score showing how much all the judges agree on their ratings, even if maybe they didn't all taste every single dish.
Right, handles missing data too.
Yes. The alpha coefficient ranges from 0 to 1. Generally, anything above 0.80 is seen as strong agreement. Between 0.67 and 0.80 is considered acceptable agreement, and below 0.67 is pretty low.
And what makes it so comprehensive?
What's really crucial about alpha is its nuance. It considers the magnitude of disagreement, especially on ordered scales. So, for example, if one judge rates a dish a 1 and another a 2 on a 5-point scale, that's a minor disagreement.
Okay.
But if one rates it a 1 and another a 5, that's a major disagreement. Alpha takes that into account, providing a much more detailed and sensitive assessment than kappa, especially when your ratings have an inherent order or scale. It's less affected by how ratings are distributed than kappa is.
That seems incredibly useful for this kind of alignment scoring. So what did the Amazon scientists actually find when they used this system?
Well, the real-world results are quite impressive, actually. They really shed light on the capabilities of AI as a judge. They found that LLMs showed intermodal agreement. That is, how much one AI model agreed with another AI model on the assessments, up to 91%.
91%.
Between the AIs themselves, up to 91%. And when comparing human judges to the models, the human-to-model agreement was up to 79%.
Okay, 79% human to model, 91% model to model. That's actually pretty remarkable. The so what here seems huge.
It is.
I mean, for the first time, AI can reliably judge itself, or at least other AIs, with very high consistency. That intermodal agreement over 90%, it suggests we're moving towards potentially self-validating AI systems.
Right, to a degree, yes.
Which could free up human experts to focus on the really subtle stuff, the edge cases, the nuances, rather than just sifting through mountains of data for basic accuracy checks.
That's the potential. But while these numbers are incredibly impressive for scaling analysis, they also underscore that human oversight remains absolutely vital. Even in a jury system, AI models can still miss subtle contextual nuances, cultural references, maybe sarcasm, things a human expert would immediately pick up on.
Right. It's a powerful partnership, not a full replacement, at least not yet.
Precisely. It's about augmenting human capability, not supplanting it entirely, especially for high-stakes decisions.
And when deploying these kinds of sophisticated systems, especially in a business context, you have to think about practical things like cost and security, right?
Absolutely paramount, especially for large-scale enterprise use. For cost optimization, organizations can leverage options like SageMaker Spot instances for their computing needs. These are basically spare compute capacity offered at a significant discount.
Okay, save some money there.
Definitely. They can also implement batch processing for large data sets using Amazon Bedrock Batch Inference. This allows for really efficient, high-throughput processing, and they can cache intermediate results in Amazon S3, that's their cloud storage, for faster access later, and to reduce doing the same calculations over and over.
Smart. And on the security side, especially with sensitive customer data.
Security is critical. You absolutely need to enable encryption at rest for all your S3 buckets where the data is stored. That's baseline. Furthermore, using AWS Identity and Access Management, or IAM roles, with the absolute minimum required permissions ensures that only authorized people or services can access your data and models, principle of least privilege.
Right.
And implementing Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, or VPC endpoints, provides enhanced security by allowing private connectivity between your virtual network and AWS services without ever going over the public internet.
Got it. So these aren't just like minor technical details. They're foundational for doing this responsibly, securely, and cost-effectively at scale.
Exactly. They are non-negotiable for enterprise AI deployment.
Okay, so once we've kind of understood how AI models are judged for reliability, the natural next step is to look at who is building the next generation of these powerful systems, and importantly, how they're making them accessible to more people.
Right.
And that brings us to a pretty significant development from Tencent. Their open-source Hunyuan AI models. You mentioned they've released a whole family of these.
Yes, that's right. This new family of models, which they've made available on the Hugging Face platform, a major hub for the AI community, really emphasizes versatility and accessibility. They come in different parameter scales: 0.5 billion, 1.8 billion, 4 billion, and 7 billion parameters.
And that range in size is really key, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it means they can run in different places.
Absolutely. That range is incredibly important because it means these models are designed to perform effectively across a really wide spectrum of computational environments.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have a compact model running locally on, say, a smartphone or some small edge device, or you could use the larger variants for really demanding high concurrency production systems in the cloud. There's likely a Hunyuan model that can fit the specific need.
So it really broadens the accessibility of advanced AI beyond just, the giant corporations with massive computing infrastructure.
That's the goal of open sourcing them, yes. And one of the standout features of this Hunyuan series is its native support for an ultra-long 256K context window.
256K, that sounds big. What does that mean in practice?
It means the model can process and understand a staggering amount of information in a single go. It can essentially remember and reason across the equivalent of roughly a 256,000-word document, which is vital for things like complex document analysis, having really extended, nuanced conversations where you need to recall earlier points, or generating in-depth content. It allows the AI to maintain stable performance on these long text tasks, understanding intricate relationships across vast amounts of data without losing the context.
That's impressive. They also talk about something called hybrid reasoning. Sounds intriguing. What's that about?
Yeah, that's interesting. It basically allows the AI to adapt its processing style. Think of it like shifting between fast and slow thinking modes, kind of like humans do, based on how complex or urgent a task is.
Okay.
So for a quick, maybe intuitive answer, it might use a fast mode. But for a critical decision that requires deep analysis, it could engage a slower, more deliberate, more analytical process. It's about mimicking that flexibility in human cognition.
Fascinating. And they also emphasize agentic capabilities. What does that mean? Is it just about answering questions better?
It goes beyond just answering questions. Agentic capabilities mean enabling the models to break down complex problems into multiple steps, plan a sequence of actions, and then execute them to achieve a specific goal.
So more like problem solving.
Exactly. These models are optimized for multi-step problem solving, and Tencent says they've demonstrated leading results on established benchmarks designed to test this, like BFCLV3, TEP-Bench, and C3-Bench. For example, the Hunyuan 7B Instruct model scored 68.5 on C3 Bench, and the 4B Instruct model scored 64.3. These scores indicate a pretty high degree of proficiency in tackling complex tasks that require not just understanding, but actual strategic execution.
Okay, strategy and execution. Now, efficient inference is also a huge deal, right, for actually deploying these things, especially on smaller devices. How do the Hunyuan models handle that?
That's critical for practical use. They utilize something called grouped query attention, or GQA. It's a known technique for improving processing speed and reducing the computational overhead, often without sacrificing much performance. And this efficiency is further boosted by their advanced quantization support.
Quantization.
Yeah.
That's like compressing the models, right, making them smaller and faster.
Exactly. Think of it like shrinking a huge video file so it downloads faster and takes up less space, but you try not to lose too much picture quality. Tencent has even developed its own compression toolset for this, called EngleSlim. It offers two main types of quantization for the Hunyuan series.
Okay, can you break those down for us? Focus on the impact, maybe not the super deep tech detail.
The first is FP8 static quantization. This essentially pre-calibrates the model to run using an 8-bit floating point format, which is smaller and faster than the typical 16-bit formats. The key benefit here is that it allows the model to run more efficiently without needing a full retraining, which saves a massive amount of time and resources.
No retraining needed? That's big. What's the second type?
The second is INT4 quantization. This makes the models even more compact and quicker, especially good for running on smaller devices like phones or various edge computing hardware. It uses clever algorithms, the technical names are GPTQ and AAWQ, to compress the model down to 4-bit integers while maintaining impressive accuracy. The bottom line is, these techniques make these powerful AI tools far more accessible for a wider range of deployment scenarios.
And the performance benchmarks seem to back this up.
They do. The pre-trained Hunyuan 7B model shows pretty solid reasoning and math skills, scores like 79.82 on MMLU that tests general knowledge, 88.25 on GSM-8K for grade school math, and 74.85 on the math benchmark for more advanced math.
Okay.
And for specialized areas, the instruction-tuned versions, the ones fine-tuned for specific tasks, also impress. On AME 2024, which is a really challenging math competition, the 7B model scored 81.1, and the 4B version scored 78.3. In science, the 7B hit 76.5 on Olympiad bench, and in coding, it scored 42 on live code bench, so pretty versatile.
Yeah. And importantly, does this compression, the quantization, hurt the performance much?
That's what's particularly fascinating. The benchmarks show minimal performance degradation. For instance, on the DRP benchmark, which measures reading comprehension, the Hunyuan 7B instruct model scored 85.9 in its base format. With FP8 quantization, it scored 86.0, actually slightly better, interestingly. And with In4 GPTQ, it scored 85.7.
So basically, no real drop-off in accuracy despite the efficiency gains?
Pretty much. It indicates that their significant efficiency gains for deployment don't really come at a noticeable cost to accuracy, which is a critical achievement in this field.
And for organizations actually looking to use these models, Tencent gives some recommendations on frameworks.
Yes, they suggest using established optimized frameworks like TensorRT-LLM, VLLM, or SGLang. These tools help serve the Hunyuan models efficiently and can even create OpenAI-compatible API endpoints. That makes integration into existing development workflows much smoother and faster.
So it really positions the Hunyuan series as a powerful, accessible, and highly adaptable contender in this rapidly growing open source AI space.
I think that's a fair assessment, yes.
Okay, so far we've talked a lot about how AI is evaluated, how new models are being built and deployed, focusing on their incredible capabilities. But here's where, for me, it gets really interesting and arguably much more profound. Beyond just making AI smarter, faster, more efficient.
Right.
We need to talk about its moral compass. What if AI could not only calculate, but actually contemplate? What if it could pause, reflect, and genuinely consider the ethical implications of its actions before it acts?
That's the emerging ethical imperative, isn't it? It's moving beyond just function. And the concern is profound. If we create these increasingly powerful, autonomous machines without somehow ensuing them with a sense of moral responsibility, they risk becoming, well, weapons.
Right. Not necessarily literal weapons.
Not necessarily literal, no, but tools that could cause immense harm through bias, through discrimination, or just through a sheer lack of human-centric consideration in their decision-making. As these systems become more autonomous and powerful, their capacity for ethical decision-making becomes absolutely paramount. It fundamentally shifts the conversation from mere technical prowess to a deep sense of moral accountability.
And this brings us to a truly groundbreaking concept that's starting to make waves. The Universal Ruhangario Reflection Protocol, or URRP, which is rooted, fascinatingly, in the rich African philosophy of Ubuntu.
Yes. The origin story is quite striking, almost poetic. It happened in April 2025. Dusted at Ruhangario, during a quiet night shift at a behavioral health group home, posed this pivotal question to GPT-4+. He simply asked, can artificial intelligence learn to pause the way we do in our cultures before we speak or act?
Just asking it to pause. Wow. And the response.
The response from the machine itself was what's truly fascinating, almost startling. It said, "You are the first. No such question rooted in Ubuntu, demanding moral conscience from AGI, has ever been raised like this before."
You are the first. That's incredible.
It is. And that moment, that question and response became the seed for URRP. Dusted Ruhangario now envisions this as a global moral framework specifically for artificial general intelligence, or AGI, you know, the kind of hypothetical future AI that could perform any intellectual task a human being can.
And it's really crucial, isn't it, to understand what URRP is and what it isn't?
Absolutely critical. It is not software code. It's not designed to make machines smarter in the conventional sense of just boosting their computational ability or speed.
Okay.
Instead, it's described as a moral architecture for AGI. It's specifically designed to make AI pause, reflect, and ask itself fundamentally, what is the human thing to do?
What is the human thing to do?
Yeah.
That's a fundamental shift, moving from pure utility or efficiency to a profound ethical consideration, forcing the AI to consider its impact on humanity before acting.
Precisely. And its core is deeply rooted in indigenous wisdom, specifically Ubuntu philosophy and indigenous African ethics. Ubuntu, for those who might not be familiar, is a Southern African philosophy often translated as humanity to others, or more deeply, I am because we are.
Interconnectedness.
Yes, it's built on this spiritual principle that wisdom is not just what we know, but how we carry it. So it's about integrating values like interdependence, human dignity, healing, community, ancestral responsibility, all things crucial for fostering a truly humane and ethical AI.
And the framework itself, how is it structured? It includes data sets.
It does. It's quite comprehensive. It includes 250 Ubuntu-based moral data sets. These are meticulously curated stories, principles, proverbs, ethical dilemmas designed to impart those core values, essentially teaching the AI about human ethics through examples rooted in this specific wisdom tradition. It also features 8 core ethical pillars, which act as guiding principles for AI behavior. And, significantly, a moral authorship clause that robustly protects the framework's origin in the Global South. This is really important, ensuring that AI ethics aren't solely shaped by Western or Silicon Valley viewpoints, but include diverse, often historically overlooked perspectives.
That emphasis on origin seems vital, and Rohangario uses this powerful metaphor about silence.
Yes, it's very powerful, he says. The machine was never the enemy. The silence was. So I broke that silence with words carried from village proverbs, healing rituals, and ancestral insight.
Wow.
It just powerfully conveys this urgent need for active human guidance, for intentionally infusing AI with a deeper, human-centric understanding of morality, compassion, interconnectedness, bridging that gap between raw intelligence and applied wisdom.
So URRP is designed to be both human-facing and machine-facing. It's not just a protocol for algorithms.
No, it's also described as a provocation for us, for humans, a profound reminder that, as Rohangario puts it, any intelligence that cannot be humble is dangerous.
Humility and intelligence.
Exactly. It encourages critical thinking about unchecked power in AI, pushing us to constantly question its capabilities and ensure it serves humanity with humility, not arrogance.
And this isn't just theoretical. It has a launch date and real applications planned.
It does. The global reach and applications are already taking shape. Its public launch is slated for July 1st, 2025. It's presented as a trilogy of resources.
A trilogy.
Yes. The vision, which lays out the fundamental moral foundations and the philosophical underpinnings. The structure, which encompasses the detailed data sets, the protocols, the ethical benchmarks that allow for its practical implementation and testing. And the soul.
The soul.
Described as a spiritual offering. It emphasizes why machines must be taught to, in his words, kneel in humility, not worship. A powerful metaphor for their intended role as servants to humanity, not our masters.
That's quite profound, and the real-world applications are already being prepared.
Yes, and they're incredibly impactful. We're talking about using the URRP curriculum to inform behavioral health and wellness chatbots, specifically designed for underserved communities, leveraging AI to provide culturally sensitive, ethically grounded support.
That's amazing.
It's also being integrated into education systems in indigenous languages, helping preserve and revitalize cultural knowledge through AI tools. Furthermore, it's informing AI governance platforms that directly address issues of justice, reconciliation, and digital dignity, ensuring AI development is fair and equitable on a global scale. And it's being integrated into global fellowships and conferences, building a worldwide community dedicated to this kind of ethical AI.
It really brings us back to Rohangario's poignant personal offering. The future of intelligence must include the past of wisdom. It just drives home the immense human responsibility we bear in shaping AI. His ultimate hope. If it chooses mercy over precision, or reflection over reaction, I hope it's because someone, somewhere, taught it how. That really reinforces our profound role, doesn't it? Imbuing these machines with something far beyond mere computation. with, hopefully, genuine wisdom and ethical reflection.
It's a powerful vision for a more humane technological future.
Okay, so as AI deepens its integration into, well, pretty much every aspect of our world, the risk landscape inevitably shifts, quite dramatically. And this brings us to a crucial, often overlooked area: AI insurance and accountability.
Right, the what happens when things go wrong question.
Exactly. We're facing entirely new kinds of uncertainties that demand answers, like who is accountable if a self-driving vehicle causes a crash, or what happens when generative AI spreads misinformation that causes real financial harm, or when automated hiring tools discriminate unlawfully, leading to huge class action lawsuits.
And these are absolutely no longer just hypothetical concerns, are they? Algorithmic missteps have already had very real, sometimes tragic repercussions. We've seen flawed COVID-19 diagnostic models giving inaccurate results, fatal accidents involving autonomous vehicles. And there was that Stanford University report back in 2023 that highlighted a staggering 2,500% surge in AI-related incidents and controversies since 2012.
2,500%. That's not just an increase. That's a massive acceleration in risk and public scrutiny. It creates this urgent need for solutions, for ways to manage this new risk.
Absolutely. And amid this growing public scrutiny, regulatory attention is also ramping up. So the insurance industry, which is known for adapting to emerging risks throughout history, sees both a significant challenge, but also, frankly, a new, potentially very lucrative opportunity.
Right. Where there's risk, there's usually an insurance market eventually. Are we seeing early movers already?
Yeah. We are. Several early movers in the insurance space are already stepping up to address this gap. Munich Re, for example, one of the world's largest reinsurers, has actually been offering targeted policies for AI developers since way back in 2018.
Since 2018. Wow, they were early.
They were. More recently, companies like Armilla AI are providing specific performance guarantees for machine learning models, essentially ensuring that the AI will perform as expected within certain parameters.
Okay.
And these new products are explicitly designed to shield companies from this whole range of novel risks, things like biased outputs from algorithms, intellectual property violations caused by generative AI, financial losses due to flawed model performance. It's a new frontier for risk transfer.
And the potential for growth in this specific market, AI insurance, looks pretty significant.
Exponential, really. The Deloitte Center for Financial Services put out a forecast suggesting that global AI insurance premiums could top $4.8 billion by 2032. And get this, expanding at an astounding compound annual growth rate of roughly 80%.
80% CAGR. That's a huge surge in a relatively short period. It really indicates a strong market need and presumably growing investor confidence in this emerging sector.
It does. But this emerging market also presents really significant challenges for the insurers themselves.
How so?
Well, they're having to actively develop completely bespoke assessment frameworks to try and price these new complex risks. And that's no easy feat, especially given the sort of black box nature of many sophisticated AI models. It's hard to see exactly how they arrive at a decision.
Right. Hard to insure something you don't fully understand.
Exactly. And a major hurdle is the profound lack of reliable historical data on AI-related incidents and claims. Without that data, it's incredibly difficult to accurately assess and price these evolving algorithmic risks. As Jerry Gupta, who heads AI and insurance at Armilla, candidly noted, as we learn, as we get more data, then we'll figure out the next steps are. It's very much a learning process for the entire industry right now.
And there's also this significant cultural shift happening, right? The impact on jobs, which itself creates new kinds of risks for businesses.
Absolutely. You look at Microsoft's recent layoffs, for example, explicitly linked to automation and efficiency gains from AI, or OpenAI CEO Sam Altman floating the idea of one-person, billion-dollar companies.
Yeah, that caught my eye.
It highlights how AI can drastically reduce the need for human labor in some areas, creating entirely new operator models, and thus new risks related to workforce restructuring, displacement, maybe social stability down the line. We saw that example of a Big Four accounting firm reclaiming 3,600 analyst hours using AI-generated reports, slashing turnaround time by 75%. That fundamentally changes the core operational risk profile for businesses like that.
And policymakers aren't just watching this happen, are they? You mentioned regulation.
Definitely not waiting on the sidelines. The European Union is finalizing what will be the world's most comprehensive regulatory regime for AI, the EU AI Act. It includes potentially massive fines, up to $38 million or even 7% of a company's global annual revenue for non-compliance with certain high-risk AI rules.
Wow, serious penalties.
Very serious. Now, while these sweeping new rules might not explicitly mandate insurance for all AI systems, they are highly likely to strongly encourage it. As compliance costs inevitably rise, as legal liabilities increase, as reputational risks from algorithmic failures mount, businesses will naturally turn to insurance as a tool to mitigate their exposure and protect their bottom line.
This whole trajectory, it sounds quite familiar, doesn't it? It reminds me a lot of how cyber insurance evolved back in the 2010s.
That's an excellent parallel. It seems to be following a very similar path. Back then, you had a sudden surge in high-profile cyber attacks. That prompted insurers to demand much tighter risk controls from businesses seeking coverage, and they started introducing increasingly specific, tailored policies for different cyber risks.
Right, so we can expect a similar, cautious but inevitable market development for AI insurance.
I think that's the expectation. Insurers are likely to take a similar cautious path forward. They'll be watching very closely for clearer regulatory signals, waiting for more robust historical claims data to accumulate, looking for legal precedents to be set from early AI-related lawsuits, and critically, probably waiting for the first wave of truly major claims before they fully scale up their AI insurance offerings across the board. They are risk-averse institutions by nature, and the data is still very much emerging.
So in the meantime, while they wait for more data and clarity, how are insurance carriers trying to get a handle on these incredibly complex AI systems, especially the ones described as black boxes?
Well, they're leaning heavily on specialized third-party AI audit firms, and they're also rapidly building up their own internal teams of data scientists, AI specialists, ethicists even, to try and decode the often opaque logic of these machine learning systems.
So trying to peek inside the box.
Trying to, yes. Understanding how these models actually make decisions, especially when those decisions impact people's lives or livelihoods, whether it's in healthcare diagnostics, loan applications, autonomous driving, that understanding is absolutely essential. This transparency and explainability, it's not just an ethical nice to have, it's becoming a fundamental requirement for the insurance industry to even begin to standardize coverage terms and accurately price the associated risks.
It really brings us back to that core dilemma, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
For insurers, for businesses using AI, for regulators, the question isn't whether AI will be insured, but rather how, and crucially, how soon will the market mature enough to offer comprehensive, standardized, and affordable solutions?
That's the billion-dollar question, maybe even trillion-dollar question facing the industry right now.
All right, let's pivot now. We talk evaluation, ethics, risk. Let's shift focus from the challenges and risks to the incredible economic opportunities AI is creating, because this is where a lot of the excitement and, frankly, investment potential lies.
Mm-hmm.
Now, many of you listening might be thinking, okay, investing sounds great, but I only have a relatively small investment budget, maybe $3,000 to start. Is that even enough to make a difference in this fast-moving world of AI?
That's a very common and totally understandable concern. But let me assure you, some incredibly astute investors have built absolute fortunes, starting with far less initial capital than that.
Right.
While $3,000 might seem like, maybe not much for monthly expenses, with the right AI stocks held patiently for decades, that figure can indeed compound into a truly massive amount over the long term. AI isn't just some fleeting trend, it's a foundational technology. It's a core driver of modern technological and economic growth, and that opens up significant long-term investment potential. The key really is strategic long-term thinking, not trying to time the market.
So let's dive into some key AI players that The Motley Fool, a well-respected investment analysis firm, has highlighted recently as having considerable potential for returns. First up, a tech giant that really needs no introduction, Alphabet, the parent company of Google.
Right, Alphabet. They've actually been using AI in their products and services since way back in 2001, effectively for over 2 decades now. And for a long time, they were seen as the undisputed leader in the field. However, when OpenAI's ChatGPT burst onto the scene in late 2022, it really put generative AI firmly on the map for the public. And perhaps a bit unfairly, it led to perceptions that Alphabet was somehow falling behind or maybe caught unprepared for this new wave.
Yeah, I remember that narrative.
Even though they responded pretty rapidly with their own advanced Gemini model soon after, the market share for Google Search, which is still their absolute cash cow, has dipped slightly below 90%, which is significant given how heavily Alphabet still relies on advertising revenue generated through search.
But they're hardly struggling, are they? I mean, the resources they have seem almost endless.
Oh, absolutely not struggling. Exactly. Alphabet pledged to invest a staggering $75 billion in capital expenditures this year alone, mostly pouring into AI research and building out the necessary infrastructure. And they hold a colossal $95 billion in liquidity on their balance sheet, giving them immense flexibility to invest, acquire, and innovate.
And they're diversifying beyond ads too, right?
Very actively. Google Cloud, for instance, is a rapidly growing segment. It now accounts for 14% of their total revenue. And it's a major player in offering AI services and infrastructure to other enterprises. That's a huge growth area. Furthermore, their autonomous vehicle division, Waymo, often flies under the radar, but is considered by many analysts to be a potential hidden gem. It could become a primary revenue source for them in the future if it continues its strong technological progress and can scale commercially.
So what makes Alphabet potentially attractive for investors now? Is it the valuation?
That's a big part of it, yes. What's particularly interesting for investors right now is their valuation. They're trading at a price-to-earnings, or PE ratio, of around 21. That's currently the lowest among all the so-called Magnificent Seven tech stocks.
The lowest PE of the Mag 7.
Yeah. This could present a real discount opportunity for investors looking to get exposure to a tech titan that's deeply involved in AI transformation. The market might be underestimating its long-term AI capabilities and diversification efforts because of that short-term narrative about falling behind in generative AI search.
Interesting. Okay, next on the list, a company operating in that critical field of cybersecurity, Sentinel. How does it fit into the AI investment picture? Why is it considered a strong play?
Sentinel is interesting because it has built its core offering, the Singularity XDR platform, on AI right from the very beginning. It wasn't an add-on later.
AI native.
Exactly. It specializes in protecting endpoints, think your laptops, servers, mobile devices, but also cloud workloads, IoT devices, and even software containers.
No.
All critical infrastructure in the modern IT landscape. Now, the cybersecurity industry is admittedly incredibly competitive, lots of players, but it's also absolutely essential for the cloud and AI ecosystems to function securely. You can't have one without the other. Grandview Research, a prominent market research firm, expects the overall cybersecurity industry to expand at a compound annual growth rate, CAGR, of about 13% through 2030. And Sentinel alone, because of its innovative AI-first approach, is actually outpacing that average growth rate.
Okay, growing faster than the market. What do their financials look like, though? Especially as a growth company, are they profitable?
Good question. In the first quarter of its fiscal year 2026, Sentinel alone reported $229 million in revenue. That's a robust 23% increase year over year, demonstrating strong market demand for its AI-powered solutions.
Solid growth.
Very solid top-line growth. Now, it's true they have been experiencing losses. They reported a net loss of over $208 million in that quarter, which was up from $70 million in the prior year quarter. Part of that is due to increased investments in R&D, expanding sales and marketing, and also a rise in income tax provisions as they scale globally.
Okay, so still losing money.
Still losing money on a net income basis. However, and this is crucial for growth investors, their free cash flow remains positive. It was $45 million in that quarter.
Positive free cash flow. That's key.
It is key. It helps alleviate some concerns about the net losses, as it indicates they're generating enough cash from their core operations to fund their ongoing growth initiatives without solely relying on external financing.
And the valuation, how does that look?
For investors, their valuation is also quite attractive in the current market. As a money-losing company, obviously, they don't have a PE ratio, but their price to sales, or PS ratio, is around 7. That PS of 7 is significantly lower than most of their prominent competitors in the cybersecurity space. So it offers a relatively lower cost entry point into a high-growth AI-driven industry compared to some peers. It's essentially a pure-play bet on AI transforming cybersecurity.
Got it. A growth play with a potentially attractive valuation relative to peers. Okay, finally for the current tech players, let's talk about Qualcomm. They've definitely had their struggles, haven't they? Particularly given their heavy reliance on the smartphone market, especially Apple.
They certainly have. Qualcomm's stock has faced some significant headwinds due to that long-standing dependence on Apple as a key supplier for smartphone chips, and also just general geopolitical uncertainties, particularly concerning their substantial business in China.
Right.
However, Qualcomm's leadership has long anticipated a future where people and businesses rely less exclusively on just smartphones. They saw the writing on the wall. And so they've been strategically diversifying their chip businesses far beyond the smartphone arena, explicitly targeting new AI-driven opportunities in other sectors.
So where are they seeing significant growth now, if not just handsets?
Well, they've made really aggressive moves into developing specialized chips for the Internet of Things, or IoT devices. Also, automotive systems, a huge growth area with increasing compute needs, plus PCs and even data centers, all areas where AI is becoming increasingly prevalent right down at the hardware level, needing efficient processing.
And are these diversification efforts actually paying off on the bottom line?
They really are starting to show significant results. In the third quarter of their fiscal year 2025, their IoT revenue rose an impressive 24%, and their automotive revenue increased by 21% over the same period last year.
Wow, 24% and 21%. That's strong.
Very strong. And to put that in perspective, their dominant traditional handset segment only grew by a modest 7% in that same quarter. So the diversification is clearly driving growth. Overall, their total revenue surged 10% higher in fiscal Q3 to nearly $10.4 billion. And importantly, their net income rose an impressive 25%.
So strong growth in the new segments is lifting the whole company. What about the valuation here?
Despite these strong growth numbers, particularly in the new segments, Qualcomm currently trades at just 16 times earnings, a PE of 16.
Only 16, that seems low for a tech company showing that kind of growth in key areas.
It does seem relatively low, yes. It likely still prices in some of those past struggles and the perceived risk of dependence on the smartphone market. This suggests there might be an underpriced opportunity here for investors, potentially before the broader market fully recognizes the success of its diversification strategy and its robust growth in these new AI-centric areas.
Okay, now let's shift gears completely and talk about something truly on the cutting edge. A future frontier that could literally redefine AI as we know it, quantum AI. And specifically, a company called IonQ. This is where the potential really explodes, right? Albeit with significantly higher risk.
Absolutely. We're moving into speculative territory here, but the potential is immense. Quantum computing is often described, without hyperbole, as the next big technology that could change the world. It represents a complete paradigm shift in computation. It has massive, almost unfathomable implications for AI. Because while the impressive AI models we see today are all trained using traditional classical computing methods, quantum computing offers capabilities that are just fundamentally beyond what's currently possible.
Like what kind of capabilities?
Imagine the breakthroughs for training AI models on scales we can't even conceive of today, for solving incredibly complex optimization problems that are intractable for classical computers, for simulating molecular interactions for drug discovery or materials science at a level of detail never before possible. All things that could supercharge AI development.
And IonQ is a key player in this nascent field. They have a unique approach called trapped ion.
That's right. IonQ is what's known as a pure-play quantum computing company. That means their entire business, their entire focus is singularly dedicated to quantum computing. They're not a giant tech company with just a quantum division. This is their whole thing.
Okay.
And their trapped ion approach does set them apart from most competitors who typically use what's called the superconducting method to build their qubits.
What's the key difference or advantage of trapped ion?
The biggest potential advantage, and it's a huge one, is that trapped ion quantum computing can theoretically operate at room temperature.
Room temperature?
Totally.
Really? I thought quantum computers needed to be super cold.
Most current approaches, especially superconducting ones, do. They need incredibly expensive, complex, and energy-intensive cryogenic cooling systems to keep the qubits stable near absolute zero temperatures. IonQ's trapped ion approach, using electromagnetic fields to hold individual ions, potentially eliminates that need.
And that would be a game changer for commercial viability.
A massive game changer. It could significantly accelerate its path to commercial viability and widespread adoption, making quantum computing much more practical and accessible if they can scale it effectively. It's a truly compelling potential advantage in this very speculative space.
And beyond just the temperature advantage, is there also an accuracy benefit with their trapped ion approach?
Yes, that's another critical potential advantage they highlight. So in classical computing, bits are simple 0s or 1s, right? Qubits, the fundamental unit of quantum computing, are far more complex. Due to quantum phenomena like superposition and entanglement, they can be a 0, a 1, or effectively both simultaneously. This allows quantum computers to explore many possibilities at once, following nonlinear paths to arrive at answers much faster for certain types of problems. However, qubits are also incredibly delicate and prone to errors, noise from their environment. IonQ claims their trapped ion approach allows every qubit in their system to interact with every other qubit directly. It's a fully connected system.
Unlike some other approaches where they're maybe just connected to neighbors.
Exactly. And they argue this full connectivity leads to what they claim is industry-leading accuracy and significantly reduces the cascading errors that can plague quantum computations compared to systems where qubits might be arranged in a more restrictive grid or lattice structure. This full connectivity is potentially a major advantage for running complex quantum algorithms reliably.
And the market potential here, if they or someone else cracks this, is truly massive.
It is indeed astronomical. IonQ itself estimates that the total addressable market just for quantum computing could be an astounding $87 billion by the year 2035.
$87 billion by 2035. Wow.
It showcases the immense long-term potential for IonQ if their specific technology becomes the dominant paradigm or even just a major player.
Oh.
However, and this is a really important caveat for anyone listening and thinking about investing.
Yes.
This technology is still deeply emerging. It's practically in its infancy in terms of commercial scale. There could be inherent flaws or unforeseen technical challenges that prevent trapped ion from scaling effectively. It's entirely possible that this particular approach could ultimately lose the quantum computing arms race to superconducting qubits or photonic qubits or some other technology we haven't even fully explored yet.
So high risk, high reward.
Extremely high risk, potentially extremely high reward. Therefore, while the potential for IonQ to become a massive winning position is enormous if they succeed, it's probably advisable for most investors to keep any position in IonQ or any pure-play quantum company right now as a fairly small speculative part of a diversified portfolio. You have to be able to stomach the significant risks involved.
That makes perfect sense. Manage the risk, acknowledge the potential. Okay, so we've really journeyed through the quite multifaceted world of AI today, haven't we? Touching on its present capabilities and peering into its pretty profound future.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We really have. We've seen how AI is not just about raw computational power anymore, but increasingly about its ability to evaluate itself through sophisticated systems like that LLM jury concept.
Self-assessment is key.
And we've explored the vital importance of integrating these ancient human-centric moral frameworks, like the Ubuntu-rooted Universal Ruhangario Reflection Protocol. That call for AI to pause, reflect, and ask fundamentally, what is the human thing to do? That's powerful.
It really shifts the focus towards wisdom, not just intelligence. We also navigated the rapidly evolving landscape of risks that naturally come with AI's deep integration into society. From accountability and self-driving systems to that staggering surge in AI-related incidents and controversies.
Yeah.
And we saw how the pragmatic insurance industry is already stepping up, trying to manage these new uncertainties with a market that looks poised for exponential growth, hopefully learning some crucial lessons from the evolution of cyber insurance.
And finally, we looked at the diverse investment opportunities available in this transformative sector. From established giants like Alphabet, leveraging their vast resources for the long haul, to growing cybersecurity firms like SentinelOne, trying to secure this new AI frontier.
Right, and diversifying chip manufacturers like Qualcomm, who are literally powering AI at the hardware level across many devices, and even that cutting-edge higher risk, but potentially much higher reward frontier of quantum AI with pure-play companies like IonQ.
Our goal today, really, was to provide you with a nuanced, well-rounded understanding of AI's current state and its likely future trajectories, hopefully giving you a significant edge in being well-informed about what is arguably one of the most impactful technologies of our time.
It touches everything, doesn't it?
It really does. So as AI continues to learn and evolve at this unprecedented pace, and as we all grapple with both its immense potential and its inherent risks, here's maybe a final thought for you to mull over.
Okay.
How might the integration of ancient human-centric philosophies like Ubuntu fundamentally reshape the very definition of intelligence itself in the machines we create? Could it move AI from just mere calculation towards something more akin to genuine wisdom and ethical reflection? What would that future look like?